We're going to learn how to solve exponential equations, starting with something that's very similar to the square root method, but we might have like fourth roots or fifth roots or something a little higher level. So here's a couple of examples. On page 125, you're going to have a section in your notebook, or I'm sorry, in your workbook that has it just says notes, like it's a blank space. Go ahead and write these 4 examples there. We're going to do 2 on this page and 2 on the next page, but I want you to have it so when you come to class it's there. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is look at something a little easier. So this will be A. What we're trying to do is solve for x. So in order to do that, eventually I'm going to want to cube root both sides so that it cancels the cubed with the x. Well, in order to do that, I need to get the x cubed by itself. So what I'm going to do is divide by 5 so that my x cubed is now isolated. So 320 divided by 5 is 64. And then now I'm at a very similar to x squared. I can, when I would square root both sides, now what I'm going to do is cube root both sides. So what that's going to do is it's going to take my cubed and my cube root are going to cancel, leaving me with x, which is exactly what I wanted. So now I want the cube root of 64, which is going to be 4. Okay, and that's how we're going to solve these. Very simple. Okay, so the next one then, you're welcome to pause the video and try it yourself first if you like. I think you'll learn a lot faster that way. But here what I want to do is get the x plus 3 to the 4th is already isolated. So my only first step would be, that would make sense, would be to 4th root both sides. So I would have the 4 and the 4th root cancel out. So I'm left with x plus 3 equals the 4th root of 24. Now let's go back and talk about a concept though with square roots. When we had something like this and we square rooted both sides, we had to assume positive and negative answers. And what's going to happen here is because the 4 is an even number, so that means if you think about positive, so positive times positive times positive times positive is positive. Well, negative times negative times negative times negative is also positive. So anytime that this thing that you're rooting by is even, you do have to assume positive and negative answers. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in here a positive and negative because it was to the 4th. Now in question A, I did not have to do that because it was a cube root. You'll never get a positive and a negative answer out with a cube root or an odd root. All right, so let's finish this out. We're going to subtract 3 to both sides. So my actual answer looks like negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 24. Okay, hold on, let me back this up. Right, you can't see what I just did because I erased, but let me rewrite this. So it's negative 3 plus or minus the 4th root of 24. Okay, now in practice tomorrow in the book, it is going to ask you to find the decimals of that. So I'm going to type into my calculator this and this, negative 3 minus the 4th root of 24. And I'm just going to give, notice the approximation symbol. I'm going to give the approximation of that. So just give me 1 second to type that in. So this one will be about negative 0.7. We'll just round to 2 decimal places, so that'll be negative 0.79. The next one will be negative 5.21. And now that you've seen a couple worked, to prepare for tomorrow, I'd really like for you to try some on your own. So I want you to pause and play during this section. This is the last slide, so take your time. On question A, try it first and then like hit pause, try it, and then hit play again to see how you're doing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is divide by 4 to both sides. So I have x to the 5th is equal to 32. Now I'm going to 5th root both sides. My 5 and my 5th root cancel out. So I'm left with the 5th root of 32, which is 2. Okay, hopefully you did well on that one. The next one, I'm going to take the fourth root here of both sides. So I'll have x, oh, that's a terrible color choice, x minus 3 equals positive, negative, remember, because it could be positive numbers or negative answers, the fourth root of 21. Now I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So x is positive 3 plus or minus the fourth root of 21. Now I'm going to find those approximations in my calculator. So it'll be 3 plus 21 to the 1/4, and that would be 5.14, and 3 minus 21 to the 1/4 is 0.86. I'll see you tomorrow.